Hello and welcome to a lovely sunny day in Devon. It's a nice break from the monotonous grey wet weather we've had. Nice to get back to a bit of decent spring promising weather. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about beds and whether or not to have wooden sides or not. Their benefits, their problems, and anything else to do with beds themselves. But first, a little bit about me. I am an double digger from 32 years ago up until 6 years ago when I switched to no dig. I sort of had a transition period where I was trying it out a little bit, but basically trying to do maths on my head, 26 years and then 6 years no dig. So I've always been into the bed system rather than traditional rows. It makes no difference. Whatever you choose to do is up to you. I'm not here to tell you anything like that, but I just want to go over the two differences between the actual beds themselves and whether they need the sides. Let me just give you a quick couple of examples, okay? So I've had this plot for 15 years, of which the last 6 have been no dig. Before that it was all double digging. Exactly the same beds, no difference whatsoever. Double digging just involves removing one spit. The next spit down gets loosened, not removed. Then you put manure or compost on top of that and then proceed down the bed. So it's a lot more laborious than traditional digging, but it seemed to work for me on my soil, and that's very important. I have no experience of sandy soils, a little bit of clay. Certainly clay works in both, but I wouldn't value double digging clay very much, so I'm not telling you to do anything. But on the normal soil, which a vast majority of people have got, it works absolutely fine as a double digging. Both in a bed system, so these beds have been in existence for 15 years. I do personally prefer not to tread on them. That's more to do with the size I am. I'm a bit of a weighty fella, and it's probably healthier for the soil. I don't tread all over it. For most other folk, I don't know if it matters too much, but it's just my particular slant on no dig, that's all. Right, so the way that let me just show you how the beds work. So beds without any sides are just level with the soil. Obviously the compost addition will slightly raise it up, but essentially it's bed, and then usually if we can get it wood chip, another bed, no sides. A little bit of spillage does come over because frequently the deliveries of wood chip aren't very frequent here for us, so we can't fill up the paths too well, but that will vary from person to person, and everything goes along very nicely. You work for the paths, don't step on the soil, and it enables the root room to go down very well. I find that I can cultivate my plots without any tools because the soil is so light and fluffy. Now this is my former plot where I did try out raised beds for a little while with wooden sides, but I found that I had an enormous amount of slug pressure. When I removed these sides here, they revealed 46 slugs and snails, of which were obviously taking a big toll on my crops. I also found that directly underneath the wood was a terrible job trying to get rid of the couch grass, and it came back very readily. I'm not going to step on this plot because it belongs to somebody else now, but essentially you can see the couch grass growing along the wooden surround. Of course that may not be your problem, you may not have a problem there, but I would suggest that a lot of people do have couch grass pressures on their plots. Of course, you can do what this gentleman's done and do raised beds, really raised beds, because it's there you can see how hard he's gone. New gardener, done all this in 1 year. Absolutely fabulous job. I can't go on the plot because it's not mine, of course, but yeah, huge amount of work, but absolutely fabulous for saving the back for the future. Concrete block sides, these work very well. They certainly do not encourage slugs, but the downside is they fall away a little bit too easy if not laid absolutely correctly. When they go downhill, like that lot there, they work absolutely brilliantly. But the moment they're trying to hold back some soil, and you're only going to step on them a little bit wrong and they'll fall in. So they're not quite as good. But I have found on this plot, because I inherited it from a builder, these have stood the test of time very well. Again, these are just starting to fall in, when in fact they've been falling for a little while. Would I recommend this to anybody? Not really, unless you've got access to a free load of concrete blocks and you don't mind a bit of graft. So I think that is probably how it. So whether not to have raised beds with wooden sides, beds that are supposed to be flat with the surroundings, doesn't really matter too much, to be honest with you. It all comes down to individual choice. I can't beat the neatness of raised sides when everything's nicely ordered. And that's perhaps one of the biggest influences on people that want to have raised beds with wooden sides, and that is that they look so smart. This very often doesn't look smart. It's a little bit more practical than anything else. Both are a great idea because you can just reach in. These are only just under 4 foot wide, so you can reach the middle nice and easy without stretching, and that's important for your back. This back is always going to be a little bit susceptible to the constant up and downs in gardening. And as I showed you just now, that double height raised bed where you can actually bend from the waist and work, that looks even better for the back. So that kind of depends on your ability levels. Of course, you still got to construct that in the first place, but once all the hard work is done, looking forward into later years, I guess it means that later on you'll be able to do garden much easier in a much more serene pace. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me once again from a glorious sunny Devon. I wish you a very good week and I hope all goes well for you. See you later, guys.